Yo, what's good with y'all? It's Keymajor back with another video for y'all today. Today we got another dark Cubeatz tutorial on some dark vintage type of stuff. So you guys already heard that preview in the beginning. Without further ado, let's get straight to the video. Alright, so after you guys heard that preview, here we are in the FOP, and I'm going to break each section down. So for the first melody, I went to Keyscape and I used the wing upright mono dark piano. This really helped go with that vintage type of sound because it sounded really old, gritty, and I just laid down these very simple basic chords. Now those are the chords. I'm gonna break them down. They sound very full, yet they're very simple. It's all just a bunch of layering. So I started with my root note, which is E, and I just took the same note up an octave, starting with this right here. And then I just created a very simple E minor, so E, G, and B. Very simple chord used a lot. And I took the B up an octave. And then I took the G up an octave again, but this time I had tension notes, which is basically just two notes right next to each other, causing a lot of tension. Gives off that horror movie type of sound in your samples. And then lastly, I just added this D on top to give it more of an emotional feel. This is the main chord that plays throughout the whole time. As you can see, it just copies over and over. And with the top melody, I just wanted the notes to go down, and then I just copied the same type of rhythm. I just changed the notes for the second half. Then I copied the whole thing over. All I did was I took out that top note and I just switched some of the notes around. And lastly, I just did Alt R to randomize the velocity, and then Alt S. This is extremely important to make your piano sound realistic. The first effect I used was this rev plate. I just used the bright small room reverb, so this just sounds as if someone's recording the piano in a room. It gives that realistic feeling, realistic sound. RC20 with some regular just vinyl 1 preset, giving it some noise, wobble, saturation, just making it sound a lot more old. Then I added the Schweppes EQ, and I used the wide piano stereo preset just to EQ, clean up the sound. And then I use this compressor piano room preset as well, compressing the piano. And then lastly, this EQ cutting out the highs to go along with that same vintage sound. And then lastly, I just panned it a tiny bit to the left and I made it a lot more mono. For the second melody, I copied it into the Rhodes LA Custom instead of Keyscape, and it's the exact same notes. So this goes into another huge piece of advice I have, is just layering, just taking the same notes and layering with really good sound selection. So this really adds a lot of warmth, complements the piano to sound a lot more full. As far as the effects, are kind of the same. Another reverb, I used a different one, the rev spring, and I just messed with the blend and the decay. And after that, I used this RC20 vinyl 3 preset, and just the same preset has some saturation, some wobble, some noise. I used this little gross beat where it just has this little side chain type of thing. Lastly, this EQ where I'm just cutting out a lot of the lows and a lot of the highs like I did with the piano to give it that vintage warm feel. And then lastly, a compressor. And I also made it a lot more mono, and this one I panned to the right since the piano is panned to the left. So after that, I added this mini V, and I just added this little melody that had a little bit of texture to it. I used the soft bells preset, and this is how it sounds. And I just had this simple melody, copied it over, down an octave, and then again another octave lower. One thing you're gonna notice is that the effects are kind of the same on every sound. The effects on this one were the same as the other two sounds. Another rev spring reverb. Then I had this Schweppes where I just have the default preset. I'm just messing with the knobs, just EQing, cleaning it up. Another EQ, taking out some of the heavy mids. RC20 again helps make it sound a lot more vintage. And then another compressor, the same kind of pattern to continue going on with that dark vintage type of sound. The sample was missing a lot of low end, so I went into Keyscape and I added this Rhodes piano bass, and I laid down this catchy yet simple bass melody. So yeah, I just have a lot of these little like glide notes playing. I don't know the exact term, but I followed the same bass notes from the original melody, which is just E playing the whole time. And then I kind of spiced up the melody a lot by adding this little glide notes, and I added no effects on this either. So after that, I added one of the main parts of the sample, the vocals, that really brought it to life and really gave it that dark Cubeatz type of sound. Now, if you want vocals like these, they're in my new Vocal Tapes 2.0, which is not out yet, but the demo is in the first link in the description. The demo is completely free. Teaser comes with these vocals, so they're right here. Now, alongside Vocal Tapes 2.0, since it's not out yet, you guys could go get Vocal Tapes 1.0. It has 50 vocal phrases, dry and wet, in this type of style. Really easy to just drag and drop and spice up your samples, and it's 100% free. So that will also be linked in the description down below. So yeah, that's the stock vocal that I used for this sample. For the effects, to give it that obviously vintage, more warm, old type of sound, I first started with an EQ, taking out some of the harsh mids and lowering the highs. Of course, like I did with all the other instruments. Another EQ, taking out some of the highs. Again, another RC20 with this custom preset you guys could copy, use for your own samples. And then lastly, this pancake that's giving us some movement. Everything was kind of mono, so I wanted the vocals to stand out by having it have more movement and panning left and right. I also made it a lot more mono, and I panned this one to the left. So after that, I added these strings, which come in the second half. So this is the strings I use inside of Falcon. It's the Bohemian violin, and these were the notes I was playing. Just 3 simple chords, really just focusing on the sound selection. That's what made it sound so good. The effects that I threw on this, as you can tell, there's 3 different mixers, and then it all goes to one main one. I did this just so I could level each violin on its own and pan them. So I have one on the left, one on the right, and then the main one, the main lead violin, is in the middle, and they're all routed to one track that I made it a lot more mono. I panned it a tiny bit to the right, and then I used the exact same effect chain that I used like this whole time, same reverb. And you have the Schweppes EQ, just cleaning it up, and then you have the same RC20 Vinyl 3 preset, and you have another EQ cleaning it up a little bit more, and last but not least, the same compressor, just compressing the strings. And the very last details I added was a little bit of noise texture, and then this little perk. Here's how both of those sound together. The noise comes from this kit right here from Liwi, and then the perk loop comes from this kit from Nico Baron. And for the perk loop, all I added was this little chorus to make it more wide. And that was pretty much it for the main sample. After that, I added a tiny switch up for the second half, and that's pretty much it. The only thing I added in the second half is I rendered out the Rhodes and I just reversed them. And another little detail I did is I added this little automation where it's just creating a little rising effect with the volume. And yeah, very easy way to make a switch up. I just wanted to add it to give the sample some more variation. And that's it. Lastly, all I did is I took the bass, copied it over, and then I brought in one more little accent from the same Nico Baron kit. And for the effects on the reversed Rhodes, all I added was this flanger, and then for that little texture I added this cymatics illusion to give it this, it's basically like a pedal type of effect, and then this ozone imager making it a lot more mono, you can tell. And then lastly, this pancake giving it some more movement. That's pretty much it. I arranged everything. As far as the master, I had this sound shifter pitching it up 2, and I detuned it a tiny bit, and just a soft clipper making it louder. But I exported that, and then this is the final sample. So that's pretty much it for this whole sample. If you guys want vocals or any sort of sounds, phrases like these, I'll put my website on the screen right now. It'll be the first thing to search down below. I got a bunch of kits on there, free kits as well, to help upgrade you guys' sound selection and get sounds like these. If you guys did enjoy and learn something new, make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell so you can see more videos. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll see you guys in the next video.